Welcome back. We shift our focus to the local currency's performance now. The rand held its ground in early trade today. This after the market's muted reaction to the S&P's global first credit upgrade of the country since 2005, moving South Africa to BB from BB minus with a positive outlook. Investors have shifted focus to this week's looming interest rate decision. TreasuryONE's director and currency strategist, Andre Cilliers, joins us for a look into the currency moves. Andre, thanks so much for your time. You know, the last time we had a chat, you spoke about how the rand has only really been making gains when looking at it against the dollar, and that it's still softer against the euro and the pound. Now, we've now seen the rand slightly firm up against the euro and the pound on the back of the upbeat domestic outlook post the medium-term budget. Are those gains sustainable?
I would think so. Good afternoon to all the listeners and the viewers. I would think so, yes. You know, when we last spoke and I spoke about the rand still being a little bit softer against those currencies, things have changed. We've been removed from the grey list. S&P has made a move on a slight upgrade. Mr. Godongwana gave us some really great news during the medium-term budget speech. It was all positive.
Yeah.
They've now anchored the inflation rate. We all knew that that's going to happen, but it was not official. Now it's official. It's 3% that we're targeting. And that is a very good thing on the long run. Very short term, we might have one or two hiccups, but the positiveness is already seen in the currency. So, and I think that was expected. So over the last week and a half, we have seen the rand gaining some strength against all the other currencies, all the other majors. So it's been going well. And I think with what's been happening, yes, it is sustainable.
And looking at that domestic picture even further, as you mentioned, SA is off the grey list. We have that positive midterm budget update, and also most recently S&P Global upgrading our credit rating, right? I would have expected that the rand would surge even further, but holding pretty steady today. Was that all priced in already?
I think a lot was priced in. You know, it's as I said, remember that the 3%, we knew that we're going there. We were just waiting for it to be official. Now it's official. I think what the rand is really also waiting for now is this week's Monetary Policy Committee meeting, which starts on Wednesday, and the announcement is on Thursday. And I think I am allowed to think that, with all the positives, that we might just see a Mr. Kanyahoo coming out and saying, here's a little Christmas gift, an early one, 25 basis points into the pockets of the people with debt. And that could be very good, and that could assist our economy, and that could just generally have a good feel out there, which we're already seeing, and markets would rejoice, and most probably the rand could then even push a little bit further.
So we live in hope and prayer that Santa's coming early this year with a surprise cut come Thursday. Andre, how much are the global risks weighing on the rand? I mean, you look at what's playing out in the U.S. sentiment, pretty downbeat. You know, there's concern around the data that might come out post that government shutdown.
Okay, so if any of that data comes out negative and is negative towards the dollar, it will be positive towards the rand. And we could see the rand going below 17 because negativity on the dollar is positive for the rand. And let's not forget, we did already also get a little gift for our agricultural sector on Friday night when an executive order was signed, and oranges and macadamia nuts and beef, and there's quite a few other products in the agricultural sector that is now, by executive order, exempted from that 30% tariff. Now, don't think that, especially on the citrus side, it would make a difference for this year, but certainly would make a big difference for next year. What we have to take into account is that's only on oranges. It's, for instance, in the citrus industry, not on the soft citrus side. So if you balance out between soft citrus and citrus, then you most probably around a 15 or a 18% tariff overall, if you take both those varieties into account. But it's positive news. So, you know, everything seems to be heading to its positiveness for the currency, and even the negativity in the US could spell further positiveness for the rand. If that were to happen and oil prices remain at subdued levels and the rand becomes stronger, we could even see further declines in the fuel price, which would be positive for the consumer as well in South Africa.
Now, given that picture that you've painted for us, right, there's been growing debate around whether the rand's risk profile has changed, or if we're just seeing this bout of strength on the back of an unusual decline, an unusual softening of the US dollar.
Okay, so there's something that we need to keep in mind, you know, and we've spoken about the 3% now a lot, and it's been going for a long time. But the 3% is a lot closer to our trading counterparts than what it previously was. And at the moment, some of our trading counterparts are at the upper end. They're not even at their target rates of 2%. The US, for instance, is hovering around 2.7, 2.8%. So if our inflation rate remains at around the 3% level, and the other people remain also close to the 3%, we need to keep in mind that the rand will lose some of its extreme volatility that it's had for a number of years, purely because our inflation rate differentials is now in close proximity with each other. And that simply means that the currency does not have to weaken that much, as it does not owe the exporter anything in terms of correcting between inflation increases offshore and inflation increases locally. So that volatility will disappear if we get these inflation rates closer to each other. And that's one of the reasons why the rand remains at the stronger and the elevated levels, because it doesn't have to weaken as much.
All right, let's leave it there, Andre. Thanks so much for your time and just taking us through what's playing out in the currency scene. That was Andre Cilliers, the Director and Currency Strategist at TreasuryONE.